You ever wonder if all the things we're told to chase, the success, the money, the status, are actually going to make us happy? Today, we're diving into a story about a guy who had it all. Everything anyone could possibly want, but found out it meant absolutely nothing without a real purpose.
All right, let's get into it. We're going to break down the core ideas in Robin Sharma's famous book, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. Now, it's a fable, but believe me, the lessons are incredibly real. It's all about this guy, Julian Mantle, a superstar lawyer who was just on a total collision course with himself, until one single moment changed his entire life.
So let's meet the man himself, Julian Mantle. On the surface, this guy was the definition of success, a legal legend, the person everyone aspired to be. But what was really going on behind that perfect facade?
Well, this slide just lays it all out, doesn't it? The contrast is pretty stark. Publicly, Julian was a giant. We're talking a seven-figure salary, a mansion, a private jet, and of course, that shiny red Ferrari, the ultimate symbol that you've made it. But privately, his whole world was falling apart. His marriage was over, he felt totally empty inside, and he'd lost every bit of passion for the job that used to define him.
And this crazy, out-of-balance life, fueled by an obsession with work, 18-hour days, way too much stress, it was taking a huge, visible toll. He was basically aging in fast forward, a walking billboard for burnout. And then it happened. Right in the middle of a packed courtroom, Julian Mantle, the legal titan, just collapsed. A massive heart attack. It was this brutal, very public wake-up call that slammed him back down to reality and forced him to look his own mortality right in the eye.
But this crisis didn't break him. In fact, it became the exact catalyst he needed for a radical, life-altering change. Julian knew he couldn't keep living that way. He needed answers, and he needed them badly.
So he made a huge decision. He sold everything, the mansion, the jet, and even that Ferrari. He literally shed his entire old identity and just took off on this spiritual journey to India. His whole mission was to find some ancient wisdom, and that quest eventually led him to this almost mythical group of monks high up in the Himalayas called the Sages of Sivana.
This quote, it just nails the shift in his thinking, doesn't it? As soon as he let go of all that heavy baggage from his past, his life got simpler and way more meaningful. He started finding joy not in all the stuff he owned, but just in being present.
So it's in this mystical mountain hideaway that these sages taught him 7 timeless virtues for a truly enlightened and fulfilled life. And for each virtue, they gave him a powerful symbol to help make the wisdom really stick.
All right, this table here is basically the entire playbook Julian learned, and it is the absolute heart of the book. So let's just take a second with each one. First up, master your mind, symbolized by the garden. The idea is simple. Your mind is like fertile soil. If you don't plant flowers, good thoughts, weeds are just going to grow all on their own. Next, follow your purpose, represented by the lighthouse. Super clear, right? A lighthouse guides a ship, and your purpose guides your life. Third, we've got the sumo wrestler, a symbol for Kaizen. That's the Japanese idea of constant, never-ending improvement. Then, there's the pink wire cable. Think about it. A single thread is weak, but weave thousands together, and they're unbreakable. That's your willpower, built one small act at a time. Fifth is the gold stopwatch, reminding us that time is the one thing we can never ever get back. Sixth, the fragrant roses, which teach us that the best way to elevate your own life is to serve and help others. And finally, the path of diamonds, which is all about embracing the present and enjoying the little moments of joy along the way, not just racing to the finish line.
Okay, so a mystical story about monks in the Himalayas is great and all, but how do we actually apply this stuff to our modern, crazy, hectic lives? Well, the book's beauty is that it translates these big ideas into practical, everyday actions.
And Robin Sharma himself kind of evolved his thinking over time. He took these grand, mystical concepts and boiled them down into something more practical for all of us. The focus shifted from this huge idea of changing the world to just becoming an everyday hero in your own life.
And that philosophy breaks down into some really solid habits, things you've probably heard of, like rising early to own your morning. That's his whole 5 a.m. club thing. Or scheduling your priorities, your health, your family, with the same seriousness you schedule work meetings. It's about practical discipline, a digital detox once a week, a consistent morning workout, taking 5 minutes to journal. He really hammers home this idea that just being consistent with these simple habits is what leads to mastery.
So, this brings us to the most crucial point of this entire fable. It's about taking this story and turning the lens back on ourselves and asking a really important question.
The whole story challenges every single one of us to ask this: what is the Ferrari in my life?
And look, the Ferrari isn't really about a car. It's a symbol, right? It's a symbol for anything we chase for external approval instead of our own internal fulfillment. It could be a job title, a certain salary, social status, anything that looks shiny on the outside but might be leaving you feeling kind of hollow on the inside.
At the end of the day, the message here is one of incredible empowerment. It suggests that real success isn't about what you collect, but about who you become. It's an invitation to stop chasing those Ferraris and start being the architect of a life that's actually built on purpose, on discipline, and on presence. And that leaves us with one final thought. What might you need to sell to find your real purpose?